All right, so this one's a bit sad. This update. So after purchased this EVDance Level 2 32 amp extender extension cable back in October, and primarily it was to help with charging in tough spots, tough to reach spots where the cables don't meet. At home, I've used it, maybe every other week or whenever, occasionally, to make sure that can reach me wherever I was, if I was down in my driveway, what have you. But so today, I'm using a charger at work, which I've used, but there's one in particular that's kind of a harder spot to reach. So I used this to charge over there, and came back after an hour, confirmed I was charging. It's 32 amp charger, but it only brings up to about 29 amps, and it just stays there. And honestly, as the car gets higher up in battery, after 80%, it kind of drops down to like 23 amps, even lower once past 90. If you do charge past 90, which I wasn't doing today, I was just charging to 90 and was at 85%. So I was there for about half an hour to an hour. Walked back to my car to unplug from the gun of the public charger from this part of the extension cable. This came out fine, no issues. But when I grabbed this, it felt warm to the touch, and I smelt the infamous smell of burning plastic. So I disconnected it, and the gun, I looked at the gun. I'm gonna say gun, but I looked at the plug part on the on the receptacle that went to the wall. That was a Clipper Creek 32. And I noticed that this pin, the outside of the pin itself, the plastic, was damaged, melty. That's where the plastic smell was coming from. So obviously freaked out, because then I checked this one here, and let's take a look together. There it is, right there. That's what I'm dealing with here. The pin itself, good, but the housing around it, not so much. So, after since October to now, it's currently heading towards the later end of March. So about 6 months later, maybe used about a dozen times, if that. I'm just throwing it out there, but it's probably closer to around just under a dozen, like 10 or so times of using it. I'm no longer, if you ever have an issue with an extension cord and you get that issue where for whatever reason it overheated and kind of damaged the plug, it's pretty much toast. So this thing, barring anybody in the comments saying otherwise, I can open it up and clean. I'm hoping I can just open it up and clean it. Like this there was no damage to this. As far as temperature, I didn't have my gauge on me, but it didn't feel like it was way out of temp. It's cold, really cold here in Georgia today, so that probably helped. But honestly, to the touch, it was probably around 90. So I don't know what was going on in here where it started damaging the plastic. The plastic probably isn't rated for any kind of heat. It doesn't feel stout compared to, neither is this side compared to my OEM one. But and the cable itself is so much thinner. But truthfully, the Clipper Creek had the same cable. This is rated for 32. It says right here. It says do not exceed 32 amps and 240 volts, 7.6 kilowatts continuous. I was at 29 or less. It never hit 32. The car was programmed to 30. Matter of fact, we can check the car together. I'm about to head out anyway for a moment. Let's see. Here we are. See, back home, 76%. Just burnt the 10% that I had charged up to. But let's take a look at this together. Here we are. Charging limits. It was set at 90, and it was set at 32, so it wouldn't exceed 32 at the car, and it never really exceeded 30. It never exceeded 32 or got close to it here. Where it usually tells you the amount. So I have reached out to EVDance and asked them if there's any way I'm gonna pursue it through EVDance, because I honestly, I don't know where the issue could have happened, but it's just odd. Clipper Creeks are usually extremely reliable. My job site has all of them Clipper Creek for that reason. Not sure what the issue would be, but it wasn't racing past. I didn't exceed the amperage. I don't know why it got so hot, or hot enough to do that when it didn't feel like that. I was just smelling it. So anyway, reached out to EVDance to see if they would honor a warranty exchange, because I kind of need it. Without it, charging at home would be, it's possible, but just a pain. And it was just nice to have when you're out in public, depending on what station you're coming across, whether it's a charge point or anything really, being able to not, there've been at least several times when I pull up to a spot and either it's been blocked by a gas car, or it's blocked by a person parked there but not charging, that's an EV but just blocked in, or the cable itself. Certain charge points, they have these restrictor setups where the cable might be, I'm putting the phone out for a second while I buckle in. The cable might be, I don't know, 15 feet. It's pretty short. I've seen this at dealerships, especially, where they they limit the amount of travel so the cable doesn't fully extend. And so it's hard, because given where my charge port is, it may not always reach. You're trying to move the car around. You might be in an active parking lot where you really can't be doing tons of maneuvers with your vehicle. So that EVDance thing, the biggest selling point, I made a video about this before. The biggest selling point for me was flexibility and not having to not charge because I couldn't get into the right position. Like at work, where it happens quite often. So I reached out to them. If they don't honor it, I'd be, out $140, which is unfortunate. Because, how do I avoid that the next time around? You never know what plug you might come across that decides to, honestly, I don't know whose fault it is. I haven't heard anything at work. I checked with other people who use that charger. They haven't mentioned anything. I'll continue. I'll check in with the property management team to see if there's been any other complaints. But barring that, I don't see why, if it didn't exceed the amperage, why it would start to heat the way it did. And I don't know if I can just go in, take that piece apart, scrape out any of the plastic that's melted or damaged, and just the pin itself looked fine. Just continue to use that. So if anyone's been through something similar, please share so we know we're not alone, and so EVDance knows we're not alone. When I post this, I'll try to create a hashtag so they can see it. But this is an important one, because quite a few YouTubers, I'm not going to mention who, but there are quite a few YouTubers that have gone on record testing this product and testing from EVDance, and from a few others that are creating similar products. And it's something that they really need to sort out if they want adoption of that kind of product. So more to come. Just wanted to share. If you have one of these, be careful, check, don't let it sit overnight. God forbid this happened to me at home overnight, and it is the plug, and it happened to me while I was charging overnight. That's an issue. So if should I be not charging at 32? It's rated for 32. Should I be dropping it down to low 20s just to be safe? I don't know. So, feel free to share your stories, your experiences, your values, opinions in the comments, because this could have been, if it's truly the cable and it can't handle the heat from 29 amps, given certain other circumstances that I'm unaware of, that's dangerous. And I'm glad I found out at work after an hour, versus leaving it for several hours at work, right? Because if I stayed there for 2 hours and gone down, what would it have looked like then? Maybe I wouldn't have been able to I was able to easily pull it apart. There was no issue there. But on a electric lawnmower that I had where things didn't work out, it actually melted the plug onto the extension plug and it fused. So this hasn't happened. The contacts are actually pretty good, very good. So had I left it there longer, probably not. It probably would have been a whole different scenario. Had I left it overnight and at home and this started happening, if it was on the plug on the cable side, it could have been a whole lot worse for me. And given my particular set of circumstances this week, I can't afford to have unforeseen home expenses like that, or even being homeless if it burned the house down. So thank you for letting me vent. This is kind of a rant format. Just kind of, it happened earlier. I didn't make a video at the time when I unplugged it. Got home and said, why don't I share this information out? I've emailed, reached out to EVDance twice, once through their website, and another through their support channel. They haven't responded yet, but it's only it's been the same day. So keep everybody posted, and that's it. Take care. Bye.